It was 2 days before Christmas on the wind-up island of Sodor, and all the engines were busy preparing for the big party to be held at Tidmouth Sheds. Edward was taking chocolate to the factory, and Toby was taking animals to be slaughtered for Christmas dinner. In the absence of Gordon and Henry, Emily and James were taking turns in pulling the express from one side of the island to the other. Stanley was shunting the trucks to make sure they were neat, while Percy was delivering coal to all the stations on the railway. And, as to be expected, Thomas was taking Annie and Clarabelle and the passengers up and down his branch line. "Thomas, I don't understand. Where is all the snow?" asked Annie. "Annie, we're in the southern hemisphere. It doesn't snow over Christmas," replied Thomas. "But," started Clarabelle, "the island of Sodor's in the northern hemisphere. It snows every other year. What's going on?" Thomas thought for a minute before he replied. "Oh, must be that global warming or Mayan calendar ending or something. Who knows? More importantly, we have to get back to Tidmouth Sheds." "Well, it's good to see you brought the oil, as I asked. Where's the other one of you? There used to be two."
"You mean the purple one, Splatter? He moved to America and is now an activist for the rights of steam trains."
America? America? Those test audiences and actors are the reason no one liked our movie. Well, we'll show those Steamies this Christmas is going to be like no other. Isn't that right, Pinchy?
Boss, shouldn't we come up with a plan now? Christmas is only 2 days away.
I've already got a plan, and you'll find out what it is in due time. Now, after that flop of Day of the Diesels, Pinchy and I have some practice to do, don't we? The next morning, all the engines were waiting at the sheds for their orders from the Fat Controller.
As you are aware, the large Christmas tree will be erected for the party tonight. However, the mayor ordered some new baubles to brighten the scene, and they need to be collected from the bauble mine in the hills,"
said the Fat Controller.
"A bauble mine? You've got to be kidding. That's almost as ridiculous and unrealistic as Miss Allen's Rescue and Day of the Diesels."
Emily was quick to rebuke Toby. "Shush, Toby, you're such a party pooper. I want to find out how I can pull this special train." The Fat Controller continued as if there had been no interruption.
"The engine that completes their work first, without having an accident, will be the one who can help take the baubles from the hills. But I'll need multiple engines to do it, so don't feel like you need to rush."
And with that, the Fat Controller walked off. James was excited.
"My red paint will mean I'm the one to pull this special train."
Stanley sighed. "You heard what he said. If you rush and have an accident, no one will be pulling any trains." "I'm excellent, Thomas, and I know what to do. I don't need the Fat Controller to show me what—" To the pleasure of the other engines, Thomas stopped himself before he rhymed. Percy, on the other hand, was simply overjoyed. "I'll do it! I'll do it! I'll get to pull the special train!" And with that, all the engines chuffed off into the distance. At midday, the Fat Controller was waiting at the station, where he'd told the engines to meet once they finished their jobs.
"Where are those engines? I tell them to do one job and then meet me here, and none of them have arrived."
The Fat Controller looked up the line, and then down the line, and still there was nothing.
"I'm not impressed. This is going to cause confusion and delay,"
said the Fat Controller, just as a chopping sound began to fill his ears. "I'm sorry, sir. I was delayed because I had to find Rocky and the breakdown crane to help the other engines who've had accidents."
The Fat Controller was cross. "I give those engines one job to do and they can't do it. Every single time I offer a reward to the engines, they always have accidents. This is so repetitive. Which other engines haven't had accidents?"
"Well, sir, only Toby and Stanley haven't had accidents, and in fact, I think I can hear them coming now." Edward was right. Toby and Stanley soon chuffed up behind the blue engine, and were ready to go.
"Well, it's good to see I have at least 3 reliable engines on this railway. Now, go slowly, be careful, and make sure to deliver the baubles in time for the party tonight,"
said the Fat Controller. Without further ado, the engines quickly chuffed away, and set about their task of getting to the Skarloey Railway to collect the baubles. With a hiss and a puff, the engines finally arrived, to see Skarloey waiting for them, and 3 of the extremely large baubles on the transfer table. "As you can see, these baubles are very big, and I could only bring 3 of them down from the mountains. You'll have to come back and collect the others. I think there's only one more."
"My goodness, They're ginormous!" exclaimed Toby. "Indeed, Toby, that is the case. I'll get the workman to load you up so you can go and come back again." The invisible workman worked hard, and soon all the baubles were securely mounted to the large-scale engine's trucks. "Good luck with your Christmas party. Make sure one of you comes back to collect the last ball," said Skarloey happily, as he set off to collect the last ball from the ball mine. "We'll be back, Skarloey, before you can whistle and peep," puffed Edward, as the cavalcade of large-gauge engines puffed off. The engines continued back down the mountain, being much more careful because of their precious loads. Percy, among the other engines that had accidents, were waiting at the sheds for the fitters to come and repair them, because there hadn't been room in the steamworks.
"It's not fair. I wanted to pull the special train. It's not my fault I had an accident."
Thomas was in agreeance.
"I agree. If we didn't have accidents, there'd be no TV show for us to star in and make millions of dollars."
Just as Thomas finished speaking, the cavalcade of engines puffed in with their precious cargo of the gold baubles. The Fat Controller looked pleased as he placed his fob watch back into his pocket. "Well, Toby, Edward and Stanley, I'm glad to see you've got the job done. Now, all we need to do is one of you to get a crane so we can start mounting these baubles on the Christmas tree."
Sir,"
started Emily.
"I think we have a problem."
"And what might that be, Emily?" asked the Fat Controller.
Well, sir, all the cranes on the island are still cleaning up our accidents. Even Rocky.
Sniffed James uncomfortably. "That is disappointing. Do any of you engines have any ideas of how we can get these Christmas baubles into the Christmas tree before evening?"
After a short silence, Percy piped up. He had an idea. "Sir, what if we asked Diesel 10?
All the engines, rolling stock, and even the Fat Controller gasped. Considered the Fat Controller. "I suppose it's the only option we've got. We mustn't disappoint the children. Okay, I'll collect Diesel 10, while you and Broken Engine stay put, and while Edward goes to collect the final ball." As the Fat Controller left, a silence enveloped the engine sheds. The Fat Controller arrived at the Diesel Works to talk to Diesel 10. "Diesel 10, I have a job for you, and it involves a Christmas tree and steam engines." Naturally, Diesel 10 wasn't impressed.
"Steam engines and Christmas, my two least favorite things."
The Fat Controller stayed stern. "Look, Diesel, you do as I say, otherwise I'll take the Diesel Works off you. It's only because of me that it got rejuvenated."
"Fine," grumbled Diesel 10. "What do we have to do?"
"There are no cranes available at the moment, so I need you and Pinchy to help mount the new baubles on the Christmas tree at Tidna's sheds for the children's party. Do you understand?"
"You need Pinchy, eh? Maybe this won't be so bad after all."
As the Fat Controller walked away, he had one last thing to say to Diesel 10. "I want no funny business. If I see any sign of you trying to destroy my steam engines, you'll end up in the scrapyard." Back at Tidna's sheds, the uncoupled trucks with the baubles were waiting along with the engines who were still waiting for a fitter, whereas Toby, Edward, and Stanley had all gone off to make up for the trains the other engines were missing. Then they heard an ominous rumbling noise. The troublesome truck was unsure of what to say.
Hi?"
Diesel 10 snickered.
"I heard you engines have used up all the cranes with your silly accidents. Well, good thing Pinchy and I are here to help you with your silly party, isn't it?"
Pinchy snapped shut.
"Now, steam engines, watch and learn how the diesels do it."
Diesel 10 pushed the trucks into a more suitable position before he grabbed one of the baubles with Pinchy, flung his arm back, and then launched the ball into the air. The engines gasped, but the ball landed safely in the nestles of the Christmas tree branches.
"Easier done than said,"
laughed Diesel 10, as he continued to place the baubles into the tree. By mid-afternoon, Diesel 10 had mounted all the baubles successfully on the Christmas tree, except one. All the engines were crowded around, waiting for the moment in which all the baubles would be on the tree. Even Dodge. "I must say," said Stanley, "you've done very well, Diesel 10. It was not often that Diesel 10 got compliments by steam engines, and was unsure of how to reply, so instead he just simply threw the last bauble into the branches of the Christmas tree. But just as the last bauble was mounted onto the branch, electricity began to jitter and jolt up and down the Christmas tree.
"Somehow, I don't think that's supposed to happen."
Dodge was equally as confused. I remember this being part of the plan, boss."
But the other engines got really worried when even Diesel 10 didn't know what was going on. "What's going on? This wasn't part of any of my plans."
"Oh no!" exclaimed Toby. "The Christmas tree's gone!"
And in a flash, the Christmas tree had disappeared.
"Oh no! The children's party will never be able to go ahead if we don't have a Christmas tree!"
A strange crackling noise began to fill the air.
"Oh no!" said Emily. "I don't really know what's going on, but it doesn't sound very good."
Yikes! That looks like something out of a TV show.
It was. In fact, it was actually a silent spaceship.
Excellent. The Ball beacons worked exactly as planned. Now we will find the remnants of the Doctor and use them to destroy him. Silence will fall.
One of the Silents stood on the turntable right in front of Thomas and Percy.
"You have detected signs of interaction with the Doctor. Where is he? Tell us," said another, "or you will be destroyed."
Thomas was not going to give away the Doctor's cover anytime soon.
"I'm not going to tell you anything about the Doctor. He has to help the Mountain Valley Line and stop the time rift." "Well, if the blue little Thomas isn't going to help us, maybe the green caterpillar with the red stripes will."
Percy was now very cross. He hated it when people reminded him of the time when he got covered with straw and Thomas called him a green caterpillar with red stripes.
"Just for that, I'm not going to tell you anything."
One of the Silents was fed up and couldn't control itself, and started sending electrical bolts into the ground and around the rail yard.
"Very well, you have made your decision. Now it is time for your lives to come to an end."
The other Silents turned and began absorbing the electrical energy around them to fire at Thomas and Percy, when all of a sudden, another strange noise began to fill everyone's ears. "Hello, sweeties. Sorry I took so long. Timey-wimey gets a bit bumpy, if you know what I mean. Now, Silence, if I were you, I'd leave this railway at once before I destroy your spaceship once and for all." The newly appeared Riversong fired bolts from her laser into the spaceship, sending sparks flying in all directions. The Silents were unfazed.
"Riversong, you may have chased us through time and space and turned against your masters, but you will not destroy us."
"Oh, really? Is that why I've beat you on 16 different planets and galaxies all around the universe?"
"You have reached your expiry date,"
said the Silence as it began firing bolts of electricity towards River. "Not if I can help it," said Toby, who ran forward, knocking the Silence off the turntable and onto the ground.
"Stop!"
whispered the Silence with a dying breath. It was at that point that Riversong remembered she had a spare weapon, but she knew she couldn't double wield. So suddenly, she had an idea. "Diesel 10, catch this!" Riversong threw her spare laser into the air. It spiraled and arced towards Diesel 10, who moved Pinchy just into the path of the weapon and snapped shut on it. "Go, Diesel 10, you can do it," said Emily excitedly.
"Take this, you Silence creeps."
"That's it, Diesel 10, keep it up," said River, just as she fired a bolt again into the Silent spaceship, sending sparks flying. "Diesel 10, you have to aim for the central column," realized Edward. "If we can destroy their spaceship, then we can get rid of these Silences forever." Pinchy quickly flipped over, and Diesel 10 reversed into optimum firing position.
"That's it, you've reached your expiry date, Silence."
"You've done it!" cried Stanley. "You destroyed the central column and saved the railway!" Stanley was right. Slowly but surely, the Silent spaceship faded away, going back to the time in which it belonged, as did the Silence which littered the ground. Just as the defeated Silence faded into another universe, the Fat Controller arrived.
"What's going on here? Why is my Christmas tree missing? Why is all this destruction all around it? Riversong, what are you doing here?"
"Well, Sir Topham Hatt, or should I say the Fat Controller, I just helped save your railway, along with Diesel 10 here, from the menace that is the Silence." The Fat Controller was bemused.
"How did this happen? How did the Silence come to my railway, and what did they want?"
"Well, sir, I think they were tracking Percy and I after we visited the Mountain Valley Line. We've been exposed to time energy and whatnot, so they must have looked onto us and tracked us here to find the Doctor."
"The Doctor? Doctor who?"
Toby could see that the Fat Controller didn't understand, and so he tried to explain in simple terms.
"The Silence used those balls that we collected to bring themselves here so they could find Thomas and Percy and destroy them."
"And without the help of Diesel 10 and Pinchy,
we would never have been able to send the Silence back before they destroyed part of this railway forever.
I see. Well, thank you, Diesel and Riversong. But how did you know how to come here?
Well, dearie to the Topham Hat, I must say that I only came here because I've been tracking the Silence throughout time and space, now that they're on their quest to destroy the Doctor once and for all. But I must go. I can sense them causing trouble in another part of the universe. Good luck with your Christmas celebrations. With that, Riversong dematerialized and disappeared into the time vortex. But Percy was still dismayed. There was one thing that was still wrong. Now we don't have a Christmas tree and the children will be sad. Then, as if by magic, the tree reappeared, albeit missing the dangerous and new Christmas baubles. After the engines had all come down, the Fat Controller spoke once more.
Well, looks like Riversong sent us one last Christmas present. But we still have many preparations to do for the party. Quickly, we must get to work. We only have a few hours before sundown, and the children will be arriving soon.
By nightfall, the party was ready. There was food, lights, music, and of course, the children and their parents had all arrived on board the engines of the railway. Well, said Stanley, that was one adventurous day, but at least the Christmas tree still looks nice.
I agree, Stanley, that was one adventure. But next year I hope Christmas isn't quite so crazy or Doctor Who related either.
Well, at least all the children are having fun, and the tree still does look nice, without those new and special baubles that we ordered. The Fat Controller smiled.
Well, Toby, I must say, you were right about the Christmas bauble mine. There was no such thing. The Silence must have planted in my mind before they tried to take over the railway. Ah well, the Christmas party has started now, and there's one thing I have to say. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Back at the Diesel Works, Dodge and Diesel 10 were still in conversation.
But boss, I don't understand. Why didn't you let the Silence destroy the silly engines? You helped them out. I thought we wanted to get rid of the silly Steamies.
Diesel 10 smiled wickedly. Well, Dodge, as you'll soon see, I have another plan for the engines, and this one will be with my special new allies.
Please, boss, could you, tell me who they are?
No, said Diesel 10. This is to remain a big secret, so it'll be a surprise to everyone when the plan comes to fruition and the Steamies are destroyed. But there is one thing I can say. Exterminate!